Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Leslie Berger, which most of you already know. I'm co-president of the Temple with David Youngman, who is not with us tonight. Not sure where he is. Just a reminder, on Sunday, Adult Ed has a program about Bob Dylan. It'll be in person and on Zoom at 3 o'clock. And on March 10th, in honor of Purim, we're having a Mediterranean dinner hosted by Sisterhood. RSVPs are due by March 3rd. It's only $10 a person. It should be yummy to get us ready for the great performances we'll have. Thank you to Rabbi Mark and Cantor Stacey for leading the services tonight. And of course, Dr. Ray for the wonderful music. Thanks to the tech team, Phil Carey and Chris Jastrock, and Susan for running the chat on YouTube. And thanks to the ushers, Dina Jastroff and Joe Gorin. Don't forget, we have a ongoing food drive, so make sure you bring your non-perishable foods in as often as you can. And the emergency exits are Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, indeed. Thank you very much, Leslie. And my special thanks to Lila Mayernick and Trent Porter, who led services in my absence last week while we were taking vacation. Deb and I were camping in the Anza Borrego State Park, California's largest state park. It's indeed quite large, mostly desert area, but you've got all kinds of wonderful, wonderful things to see there, and you'll see one of our pictures of our campfire during our service this evening. Often for us to have a chance to get away, so it's not often we have a chance to get away, so thank you very much to everyone. Welcome back. It is the end of the week. It is Shabbat. We have a chance to collect ourselves, to catch our breaths, to rest for a moment. Those of you joining us on YouTube, now's the time to set aside some candles, some challah, a bissela of your favorite Shabbat beverage, wine, juice, whatever your pick, so that we can join together in our blessings here. And we have Shabbat greetings from Jeff and Wilma Shear, Ted and Noel Singer, Rita and Bob Rubin, the McNella family, and Joyce Kessler. Thank you all so very, very much. Jeff is a past president of our congregation. Rita is here with Sue. Thank you for support and for being here. Eileen McNella on behalf of the McNella family, and Joyce are all here as well. So thank you for sponsoring our Shabbat shout-outs and greetings, an opportunity for us to say hi to everyone and raise a little money for Temple. Thank you very, very much. It is good to get back into the rhythm. Last Friday, as I was sitting there with the sun going down, going, wait, where's my lectern? Where's my microphone? Where are the slides? It was a little different being in the wilderness and having a chance just to celebrate Shabbat in nature with God's sky as my ceiling and the beautiful sounds of nature around us. And yet those rhythms of Shabbat gives us an opportunity to kind of find our flow during the week. For our ancestors, this was, of course, a great time for them to call it quits for the week. And in the days before calendars, where we could actually tell the date, knowing that, you would count down the days in the Hebrew calendar. It's not Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No, it's Yom Rishon, first day, Yom Sheni, second day, Yom Shishi, sixth day, Shabbat. So as long as you're keeping track of the day of the week, you know what's coming. This was like the culmination. And so it is that for us as well. It gives us that little bit of rhythm and a chance for us to recognize this time as being special. So thank you for joining us here and on YouTube as we welcome this Shabbat. I begin with an opening thought. We are young, our experiences few. We are older, veterans of life's teachings. We have endured great adversity. We have been untouched by tragedy. We are married, we are single, we are of many varied traditions. We are different from one another, and yet we are one. Having traveled many different roads on our separate journeys, we have all come to this sacred place in our lives. As united by tradition and by faith, we raise our voices in celebration and in song. This Shabbat we welcome with the singing of Lecha Dodi. Mystics gave us the image that Shabbat was not just a date, not just a time, but was a special presence that we welcomed into our lives like our friend, like a bride. Lecha Dodi.
בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל חמיוך אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ושמו תפארת ולתהילה יא לה 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 Lecha Dodi Ya la 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 לקראת כלה Ya la 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 פני שבת נקרב לה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תהילה יאללה לי יאללה לה לה לך דודי יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקרב לה התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה יאללה לה לה לך דודי יאללה לה לה לקראת כלה יאללה לה לה בני שבת נקרב לה בואי ושלום עטרת בלה גם בשמחה ובשולה תוך אמונה עם סגולה בואי חלה
We may face the front.
יאללה לה לך דודי יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקרב לה יאללה לה 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 לך דודי יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקרב לה.
We may be seated. I invite Joe Tejas Sandoval, our religious committee chair, to join us on the bima and lead us in the lighting over our Shabbat candles.
Thank you. Is it on? Mm-hmm. As the great doors of night are opening, we come into the clean, quiet room of Shabbat. Let us be thankful as we light these candles like eyes of holiness for this moment of peace. Let us savor the fruit of the vine, the blood of the earth that quickens us. Let us be thankful for grain, fruit of grasses that feed the cows, the gazelles, and us. Let us be grateful for the children and the work of the week that are our own fruitfulness. Let us never forget that food comes from the earth. We must cherish and heal. Through labor, we must respect and reward. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. Forgive me.
You got it.
Back.
Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, lehadnik ner Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, source of all being, who calls us to holy acts through mitzvot, and inspires us to kindle these lights of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Genuine prayer is an event in which a person surpasses him or herself. A person hardly comprehends what is coming to pass. Its beginning lies on this side of the world, but the end lies beyond all worlds. At times, all we do is utter a word with all our heart, yet it is as if we opened up a whole new world. It is as if someone unsuspectingly pressed a button and a gigantic wheelwork were stormily and surprisingly set into motion. I invite us to rise as we are able for our Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvona meshanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimlo chalenu leolam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai hama'ariv aravim. You, the one from whom on different paths all of us have come, and to whom on different paths all of us are going. Make strong in our hearts what unites us. Help us to build bridges across all that divides us. United, help us to rejoice in our diversity, at one in our witness to your peace, a rainbow of your glory.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
We may be seated.
Ve'ahavta
Hey.
Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha
Take a
ובכל
moment.
נפשך ובכל מאודיך.
Vehayu hadvarim haele Asher Anochi Mitzavecha Hayom Al Levavecha Veshinantam Levanecha Vedibarta Bam Beshivtecha Bevetecha Uvlechtecha Vaderech Uvshochbecha Uvkumecha Ukshartam Leot Al Yadecha V'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uchtaftam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tizkeru, v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim.
Lelohechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher עשיתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
To be a Jew means to wake up and keep your eyes open to the many beautiful, mysterious, and holy things that happen all around us every day. Many of these items are like miracles when we wake up and see the morning light, when we taste food and grow strong, when we learn from others and grow wise, when we hug the people we love and feel warm, when we help those around us and feel good. All these and more are there for us every day, but we must open our eyes to see them.
Yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai 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 lai, la la lai la la lai, yalla lai 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 lai, la la lai lai lai, yalla lai 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 lai. Mi kamocha ba'alim Adonai, mi kamocha nadar b'kodesh, norati lo osef ele. אוסף אלה מלכותך רעו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים מלכותך רעו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 Yalla lai 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 la la lai 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 Yalla lai ya lai 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 Zazeli Anu Yamru Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed Oh la la lai 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 la la lai 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 Yalla lai 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 la lai 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 Yalla lai 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 la la lai 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 Yalla lai ya lai 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 lai
The world has our hands, but our souls belong to someone else. To set apart a day a week, a day on which we would not use the instruments so easily turned into weapons of destruction, a day for being with ourselves, a day on which we stop the idols of technological civilization, a day on which we use no money, a day of armistice in the economic struggle with our neighbors and with the forces of nature. Is there any institution that holds out greater hope for human progress than the Shabbat?
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
They say, our tradition says that we are supposed to be in a palace. And so we bow and take certain steps as the prescribed supplications drops from our lips. But really, what do we Americans really know of castles and of royalties? I mean, yeah, there's the Hearst Castle you can go to, but not exactly royalty. My kitchen faucet constantly leaks. The kids' faces usually need to be cleaned. And if a real door should open to a real palace, I would probably forget and carry in a load of groceries. No, the doors that we stand in front of when the Amida begins is silence. And when we open it and step through, we arrive in our hearts. Mine's not a fancy palace, no jewels, no throne. Certainly not fit for royalty, but in this small chamber for just a few moments on Shabbat, God and I can roll up our sleeves, put some scotch on the table, sit down together, and finally talk. That's palace enough for me. We continue with the words of our tefillah as I invite us to rise as we are able.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avod V'Imachot, U'Mevi Gula Livnei V'Nechem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, מחיה הכל אתה, רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לך חיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך הסלע, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We may be seated. I am whole, and I am healing. I am part of all that is, and my heart is truly open. Love and light flow through me.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amacha, Tasim Leonam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amacha, Tasim Leonam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom hashalom. V'tov b'necha levarech et amcha, levarech et amcha Yisrael. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leonan. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leonan. Bechorer uvechosha Mishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amacha, Tasim Leonan. Baruch atah Adonai, Amavarech et Amo Yisrael.
We include in our prayers for peace not only those of us in the immediate congregation, not even those of us in our communities, our cities, our states, but indeed everyone in this entire world, especially those who have found their sense of peace, their sense of shalom and well-being disturbed, perhaps even shattered by the challenges that they are facing. In a moment, Cantor will lead us in our Misha Berach prayer, our prayer for hope and for healing for all who are facing such challenges. And I will invite you, prior to that, to share aloud the name of a loved one. Thus we might bring them here into this space, into our hearts at this time. May all who are facing such challenges and threats to their sense of shalom, their health, their bodies, their minds, their sense of well-being, may they be blessed on their journey, a journey that will bring them to a refuah shlema, a return to the wholeness they seek, the shalom that they desire. I invite you to share aloud the name of a loved one whom you'd like to include in this prayer.
My papa, Michael Klein.
Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us bring hope and healing to those who are in need. And let us say, Amen.
Dear God of our ancestors, dear God of our... You repeat it for me. Help us renew our faith. Help us renew our faith. Grant us the perfect healing. Grant us the perfect healing. Bring peace to all our days. Bring peace to all our days. El na refana la, refana la nu. El na refana la, refana la nu. Restore our strength of body, restore our strength of body. Help clarify our minds, help clarify our minds. Refresh our tired spirits, refresh our tired spirits. Rejuvenate our light, rejuvenate our... El na refana la, refana la nu. El na refana la, refana la nu. Thank you for all these blessings. Thank you for all these blessings. Throughout our days and nights, throughout our days and nights, we celebrate the journey. We celebrate the journey. This precious gift of life. This precious gift of El na refana la, refana la nu. El na refana la, refana la nu. El na refana la, refana la nu.
We prepare to take a moment of silent meditation and reflection. To bring us into this time of quietude, I share this thought. Oh God, teach us to take time to listen to the birds, the waves, and the wind. Teach us to take time to breathe in the air, the earth, and the ocean. Teach us to take time to be still, to be silent, and to allow God to fill you up with deep peace and with deep love. We take a moment for silent meditation or such other prayer as the heart may prompt.
עליון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי וגואלי.
Cantor and Dr. Ray, thank you both for the music, and thank you for that new Mishabera. It was very nice, a wonderful opportunity for us to have a new melody. Thank you so very, very much for sharing that with us. Thank you to our tech team, Chris Jastrock and Phil Carey. Thank you guys for getting us out there on the internet. This is great. We come to this Shabbat at the end of a rather troubling week for us Jews. We have seen the reports of the shooting that took place in the Pico Rivera area. Fortunately, took place on Wednesday and Thursday. Fortunately, the victims did not sustain life-threatening injuries. One, a 40-year-old man, one, a 70-year-old man, shot by a man filled with hate. That has not been the only event going on in the last week or two. From February 9th to February 12th, 3 Jewish students at the University of Denver were targets of anti-Semitic attacks, including pork being left at one student's doorstep and smeared on the door, and having the mezuzot ripped off of their doorpost. Wednesday night, the Sheikh Hillel Community School students was playing the Archbishop Coleman Carroll High School in a athletic event, and the students, Jewish students, were greeted to the slurs of "Hitler was right" by some of the Christian students, and a melee broke out on the field. We have seen and heard Kanye West, yay, however he wishes to go by his comments. We have seen our political leaders hold counsel with white supremacists. Anti-Semitism and hate is no longer hidden. We heard from our students of the subtle and not so subtle ways in which anti-Semitism is prevalent on their high school campuses. In 2022, the number of anti-Semitic acts increased to the point that we have not seen since the 1930s. Joshua Shaines, a Jewish studies professor at the College of Charleston, noted that there's rhetoric that is accepted today that simply never would have been possible and not accepted by a generation ago. People call it political correctness, but there's a benefit to saying it is unacceptable to be openly racist, openly anti-Semitic, openly misogynistic, and if you are not in political office, even all the more so we need to speak out. But he ends his comment, sadly, that time has gone away. The American Jewish Committee survey just most recently indicated that 41% of the Jewish respondents state that the status of Jews in the U.S. is less secure than it was just a few years ago. Even last Thursday, Doug Emhoff, the husband of Vice President Kamala Harris, took his campaign against anti-Semitism to the United Nations, urging diplomats from many nations to speak out against the rising global hatred of Jews And he stressed silence is not an option. Hate. Hate pervades. It's pervading our nation, our world, and our families. But this week's Torah portion provides us with a bit of an antidote. For the opposite of hate is not love. Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson suggests that the opposite of hate are laws. Laws. Bear with me. When Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel was alive, he gathered together a conference on hate in Oslo, Norway, including 4 presidents, 70 writers, scientists, and academics. 2 questions that they wrestled with were, why do people hate? And why do people band together to express hatred? And the consensus of these leaders was, it is only the belief in and the execution of law that hate can be defeated. Law. This is essential to us in Judaism, halakha. This is what Judaism is all about. And halakha, says Rabbi Artson, halakha provides a second opinion. It integrates the claims of consciousness with the will of God and the wisdom of the sages. It's a second opinion, it's a check, and it's a balance. And that's what we have lost in our society and in this world. What's taking place in Israel today is scary from a democratic standpoint as political parties look to dismantle the final check on their power, the Supreme Court. We here have a little bit of a sort of checks and balance, but our Supreme Court has been politicized over the years, and it is no longer that balance to the Congress or the executive branch that it was envisioned to be. And so it is these structures of laws that we find within our tradition that afford us the balance to the hatred that is expressed, because laws keep us in check. Yes, it'd be wonderful if we could get on the freeway and drive whatever speed we want to. But there are other drivers on the road, and so there are laws not to protect the ones who want to speed, because they will, but the ones who are also driving on that very road, so that we don't have to worry about some yahoo careening into us because they decided that they should be able to drive 80 or 90 miles an hour. Laws are our checks and balances, and this week's Torah portion, titled Mishpatim, translates as laws. We're going to look at this in depth tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, for those of you who'd like to join us on Zoom, because these laws that we have in our Torah portion this week transcend the ritual laws that we are accustomed to. It's not about lighting candles and how you slaughter an animal. No. The laws that we are going to take a look at are all about protecting each other, of providing each of us the necessary framework in which to operate so that we don't harm or injure or hurt another. That's why we have laws. Our rabbis teach us, that we should always pray for the government, because if it weren't for the government, we would tear ourselves apart. And I think we're witnessing some of that as our respect for the laws and our desire to stay within those boundaries have run up against our own ego, who believe that we should be able to do anything we want to, anytime we want to. That's not how societies are formed. That's not how societies survive. Great freedom comes not from no laws. Great freedom comes when there are laws that help us all understand how we are supposed to go, how we are supposed to operate. That is what halakha translates as, the way to go. And Jewish halakha is filled with so many ways to guide us and to help us keep our egos in check and to understand that we are not alone and therefore we all must compromise. But these expressions of hate and acts of violence against, yes, primarily us Jews, at least what I'm looking at now, but have gone beyond that. We used to be the miner's canary. If things were not good for Jews, things were not good for all minorities. And we are seeing that. The Asian community is now under drastic attack, and hatred and violence against them is likewise increasing. Of course, we know that there is Muslim phobia, Islamophobia, and people have, vented their ignorance and their hatred on Muslims across this nation that are it's just not called for. And this is why law is essential to us in Judaism and to us as a society. It would be one thing if we lived alone on an island, but we are not. Rabbi Pinchas in the Midrash reminds us that whatever you do, halakha accompanies you. If you build a house, if you make a door, if you buy new clothes, if you have your hair cut, if you plow your field, if you sow it, if you gather in the harvest, even when you are occupied with the most trivial things, even if you're just taking a walk, halakha goes with you and guides you. May we come to understand that our sense of individualism can best be lived out when we respect the individualism of others. May we come to understand that when we operate within our own boundaries, we enable others to operate within their boundaries. When we come to respect these laws that can guide our society, and yes, that means sometimes we have to question those laws that may not make any sense. Remember when segregation was the law? Remember when people of one skin color could not marry another person of a different skin color when that was the law? So I'm not saying that all laws benefit society, but there are laws that we as human beings need to begin to understand can guide us into a more peaceful future. And threatening another person, speaking words of hatred, these are things that should be behind us. Wherever we go, whatever we do, however we are engaged, we are accompanied by a system of laws and practices that can help us bring to the world the peace that it so needs. May we find our way through these troubled times. And may we find within Jewish tradition and within Jewish halakha, and indeed within the laws that can guide our society to become even better, may we find strength and courage. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Amen.
With that, we move to the conclusion of our worship service. I invite us to rise as we are able for an introduction to our Aleinu. Yeah, please rise as you are able.
It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true, to bring about redemption. It's what we were free to do. For what's the point of being here if we're not moved to change our ways? Aleinu l'shabeach, it's time to live our praise. We are carrying the stories of the ones who came before. What stories will be told of us when we are here no more? We commit ourselves to action. It brings meaning to our days. Aleinu l'shabeach, it's time to live our praise. It's up to us to own the vision. We are an answer to a call. It's up to us to live the words we speak for the benefit of all. It's up to us to bow down deeply. There's a broken world to raise. Aleinu l'shabeach, it's time to live our praise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו ככם, וגורלנו ככל המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד.
Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, those who live on in our hearts and our memories, and the place we call Olam Haba, the world to come. We call to mind those for whom we are observing the yahrzeit, the anniversary of their deaths, having occurred this past week. Roy Jastrock, William Reese, Betty Kaplan Levinson, Paula Rose Levy, Sheldon Silbers, Sadie Levin, Joan Bluestone, Esther Benjamin, Lillian Ahrens, David Klein, Dr. Joseph Austin, Erwin Moskowitz, Eleanor Young, Saul Rosenblatt, Edward Weil, Morris Berger, Harold M. Kramer, Alvin Fry, Cynthia Algra, Gerald Kotkin, Jack Altschuler, Sandra Turbo, Lola Berezin Dagak, and Sophie Kistner. To those names, we link the names of those for whom we are observing the mourning period: Dottie Roth, Gerald Kramer, Mark Lightman, Stephen Z. Lavute, Harlene Brow, Tim Manriquez, Lenny Lightman, Lorraine Stein, Harry Fox, Ed Ginter, Dr. Alan Sherman, Mary Lewis, Joel Lowenstein, Arthur Krieger, Maria Paulus Osborne, Ellen Hope Tews, Martin Becker, Bella Atun Cohen, Nahama Fragoso, Allegra Gordon, and Cyrus Shade. If there's a loved one whom you are remembering, I invite you to share that name at this time. To those that we have named aloud and to those that we keep named in the quiet places of our hearts and memories, We link as well the names and memories of the men of our armed forces who have given their lives for our liberties and our freedoms, those who have given their lives for our safety here at home, members of our police, our firefighters, and other first responders, and of course the members of the Israeli Defense Forces who have given their lives for the hope of peace. Zichronam levracha, may their memories always be for a blessing. As we share together the words of our Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehe shemei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'anmiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May all of us who mourn, and all of us who are bereaved, may we find through God's eternal presence a source of strength, courage, and hope, above all a source of shalom, of peace, and let us all say, amen. I invite us to be seated for a moment, as the cantor and I will join together in the Kiddush on all of our behalf. As you enter the sanctuary, please help yourself to a glass of juice or wine, as is your preference, so that we might celebrate together the joy of this Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodisho be'ahava u'v'ratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh secher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'achata v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh HaShabbat.
And if you are comfortable putting your arm around the shoulder of someone next to you or holding the hand of someone next to you, please rise and do so as we create for ourselves a link of shalom and Shabbat to take us into the week ahead with a new melody but simple words.
This is a new melody, a very old melody that I've known since I was 2.
Shabbat shalom u'mevarach are the words. May you have a blessed and peaceful Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom u'mevorach, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach. Hey, Shabbat shalom, may you be blessed. Shabbat shalom u'mevorach, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach. Wait, oops, sorry. Motzi.
We will do motzi, and then we will all have a chance to say Shabbat Shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lachem min haaretz
b'tei avon. Bon appetit. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.